So the world's race towards green steel has continued unabated this year. We've seen announcements from steel mills, particularly in the West, as they really start to look at their short-term decarbonisation plans as well as their long-term decarbonisation plans. Most of these are looking at getting specific decarbonisation dates at around sort of 2030 to 2035, followed by their net zero by no later than 2050. We've got a number of steel mills in Germany looking at getting their net zero by 2045 to align with the more aggressive legislation that we have in place in Germany to achieve net zero ahead of the rest of the European Union. So as this has continued along, we've seen sort of the way that the technology is going to be used is becoming slightly more nuanced than what we were sort of seeing 12 to 18 months ago, when the point was really about chasing DRI or nothing else. We've seen plants now look at ways they can sort of build hybrid steel mills where you keep the blast furnaces going, you build a DRI facility side by side. You have an EAF which can take varying different mixes of hot metal, hot DRI, cold DRI, scrap HBI. So you can optimize the steel that you are making to actually get the best carbon performance for the type of steel that you are making. But we must contrast this though with what's happening in the rest of the world. So we've got Europe racing ahead. CBAM is really driving this, and we're going to see anyone who wants to export to Europe having to adjust their steel making processes to account for this. So this is mostly going to be those countries sort of surrounding Europe, such as the Middle East, North Africa and Turkey, and they will use DRI. Let's switch over to Asia. So Asia, we are still seeing a massive build out of traditional blast furnaces, particularly in India, which is looking to commission 60 million tonnes of new blast furnaces between now and 2030, as well as throughout Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia is where China has really focused a lot of its new steel capacity, which allows China to achieve two aims. One is obviously they put a cap on their own domestic steel production as their steel industry becomes more domestic focused, but also two, there's political benefits from doing this as well, as there has been a huge concern throughout the rest of Asia over the past 10 to 15 years about increasing exports of Chinese steel into these markets. So by Chinese steel producers looking to export steel mills rather than steel, achieves the aim of these countries of having their own domestic steel industries. So we're going to see over the next 10 to 15 years about 50 million tonnes of capacity come up in the rest of Southeast Asia. And again, this is mostly going to be blast furnace technology. So blast furnaces are not going away. We are simply seeing the world split between blast furnaces in developing economies and DRI and carbon capture in advanced economies.